understand how 16 airlines operate as a single organism, I delved into 25 years of Oneworld financial reports and historical records. I analyzed everything from the 30 million bottles of wine served annually to the complex electronic ticketing systems that connect 1,000 global destinations. What I discovered was an invisible ecosystem that moves 7 billion passengers through a centralized management structure in Dallas that almost no one knows about. The first secret about this hidden governance begins in the silent transition across borders. Imagine you are at JFK International Airport in New York holding an American Airlines ticket, but the plane that pulls into the gate has the British Airways logo on it. You enter a different cabin with flight attendants with British accents, and yet your check-in goes smoothly and your suitcase will magically appear in London. How is this possible if they are theoretically rival companies? The answer lies in a boardroom in Fort Worth, Texas, where Oneworld sets the rules that make the sky seem like a single, seamless highway. It's as if there is a network of invisible tunnels connecting all the continents, and you are walking through them without realizing the gigantic effort to keep the lights on. But there is a problem. Keeping 16 giant companies agreeing on every detail is like trying to make 16 capitals of the world speak the same language at the same time without any translation errors. Pay attention to this, as the scale of what we are talking about is difficult to process. Oneworld moves more than 500,000 people every day, which is almost as if the entire population of Miami took off for another place every 24 hours. But why would such large companies agree to share their secrets and profits with others? There is something very strange happening behind the scenes of this union that involves data control worthy of spy movies, but I will only talk about that later. What you see on the surface is just the blue circle glued to the plane's fuselage. But behind that paint, there is a cooperation contract that obliges airlines from Asia, Europe, and the Americas to act as if they were one family. Imagine that we go to the headquarters of this organization and open the files on the 30 million bottles of wine they serve each year. This amount of liquid would be enough to fill 12 entire Olympic-sized swimming pools with champagne and red wine. It's luxury and efficiency mixed in a way that the average passenger doesn't even suspect. And it all started in 1999, when 5 of these companies decided that it was better to unite than to fight alone in an increasingly cruel market. But this union brought a privacy cost to companies that no one expected. It's not what you think. It's not just about selling tickets cheaper. It's about who's really in charge when the plane is 10,000 meters high. How do we know this if contracts are protected by expensive lawyers? Stay here until the end, because understanding how they manipulate the market will change your travels. If you look closely, Oneworld connects 1,000 different destinations. If each destination was a Lego piece, they would have built a bridge that goes around the Earth hundreds of times. And they do this using a technology system that cost billions of dollars. But why spend so much money on something the customer can't even see? This question takes us to the heart of the mystery of these companies' survival. They share parts, training, and even the luxury lounges where millionaires wait for their flights. But there is one of these halls that holds a secret that few people have had the courage to investigate until today. I'll talk more about this in a moment. For now, understand that Oneworld functions as a centralized electronic brain. It organizes 13,000 daily flights, and if a single screw goes wrong in a gear in Australia, the system in Texas already knows how to fix it before the pilot even notices. Therefore, what appears to be your choice when purchasing a ticket is in fact the result of an alliance algorithm that has already decided your path months before you pack your bags. But if Oneworld is so powerful, why is it still so afraid of a small geographic detail? Can a simple map hide a flaw capable of toppling a billion-dollar empire? Imagine that we are flying over the world map and we notice an immense void where a vital connection should exist. Oneworld dominates the skies over the United States with American Airlines and controls European traffic with British Airways and Iberia. But there is a giant hole in South America that makes executives lose sleep in their leather chairs in Dallas. It's as if you built an incredible mansion with cutting-edge technology, but forgot to put the flooring in one of the main rooms. How did this happen? LATAM's sudden departure has left the alliance without a solid base in the south of the continent, creating a logistical challenge that feels like a marathon being run with just one leg. Pay attention to this, because this geographic gap isn't just a detail in the history books. It affects the price you pay and the routes you can take. But there is a problem. Trying to fill this empty space in the middle of a global tariff war is like trying to change a tire on a Formula One car while it's racing at 200 miles per hour. If you're enjoying this topic, subscribe to see more interesting yet different trivia videos when they're posted. The interesting thing is that even with this absence, Oneworld achieved something that seems impossible. It doubled the number of destinations in Africa in the blink of an eye by bringing in Royal Air Maroc. But why focus on one continent and leave another aside? There is a secret expansion plan that involves countries that you would never imagine seeing in an elite alliance, but I will only talk about that later. Their strategy is focused on extreme quality, not just quantity of planes. They prefer to have fewer members, but ensure that each of them is like a flying 5-star hotel. Imagine we enter a Qatar Airways lounge in Doha. The luxury is so absurd that it makes a luxury hotel in Las Vegas look like a roadside inn. It's not what you think. It's not just ostentatious to appear on Instagram. It is a psychological tactic to trap elite passengers who spend 30 times more than an economy class passenger. These customers are the real fuel that keeps the engines turning. How do we know this if they don't disclose the individual profits for each route? The secret lies in loyalty points, a virtual currency that is currently worth more than the US dollar itself for some of these companies. You need to watch the video until the end to understand how your points can be worth a fortune. 1. World created a status system called Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. If you have one of these cards, you are treated like royalty anywhere in the world. But why give so many privileges to a few people? This class divide creates a hunger for status that fuels the system. However, there is a level of access that not even the most expensive card in the world can easily purchase. Something that involves direct invitations from the alliance's CEOs, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. Oneworld's structure is robust and has survived pandemics and devastating economic crises, but accelerated growth has posed a dangerous question for the founding members. If they continue to add new partners, like Oman Air or Hawaiian Airlines, will the exclusivity they protect so much disappear? Therefore, they apply quality tests that last years before allowing a new company to put the blue seal on their fleet. But if the process is so rigorous, why are some companies still able to circumvent the service rules? Could the relentless pursuit of perfection be hiding a crack in the foundation of this billion-dollar union? Imagine we are walking down the aisle of a brand new Airbus A350, where every detail has been planned to be impeccable. But when we look at the ground crew, we realize that communication is breaking down. Oneworld's rigor is so high that they require an elite passenger to be recognized by name at any of the network's 1,000 airports, a task that is like trying to memorize the name of every inhabitant of a small town in just one afternoon. How does it work when it's like this? The answer lies in absolute data centralization, where your every preference is tracked and shared instantly across borders. But there is a problem. This efficiency depends on a technology that is becoming so complex that any small flaw in the code can paralyze air traffic across entire continents. Pay attention to this, because what guarantees your comfort is the same system that monitors every step of your journey. The alliance spends hundreds of millions of dollars just to ensure that Alaska Airlines' system talks seamlessly to Qantas's in Australia, a distance that is greater than the diameter of the moon. But why invest so much in invisible systems if the passenger just wants a comfortable seat? It's not what you think. The real objective is not just your comfort, but total control over the corporate ticket market, which is where the big money really flows. There is a silent war behind the check-in counters to decide who will have the right to access your consumption data, but I will only talk about that later. What makes Oneworld unique is its ability to reinvent itself, as it did after completing 25 years of existence. They turned a simple cooperation into a commercial war machine that dictates the prices of the most profitable North Atlantic routes. Imagine that we enter the server room of this organization. The heat generated by the machines that process millions of people's miles would be enough to heat thousands of homes during a harsh New York winter. It's a massive structure, but it depends on the loyalty of companies that deep down are still competitors. How do they prevent one company from cheating on another to get more passengers? This constant tension is what keeps the alliance sharp and innovative. They need to collaborate to survive and offer connections that a company alone could never achieve. But mutual distrust requires contracts with punishment clauses that would make any businessman tremble. Therefore, Oneworld created an internal court to resolve disputes between giants such as Cathay Pacific and Japan Airlines. It's a chess game where each move costs millions, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. The truth is that Oneworld is not just a secret company behind 16 airlines. She is the guardian of a standard of luxury that defines who can and cannot fly with prestige in the 21st century. The final proof of this sovereignty is the fact that even with the entry of new video conferencing technologies, the alliance's elite travel volume continues to break historic records. They have proven that human contact and impeccable service are worth more than any digital economy. But why, even though they are so successful, do they still hide the real details of how they divide the profits from round-the-world tickets? This is the mystery that keeps the aviation industry on constant alert. Oneworld remains the blue circle that unites the planet, ensuring that no matter where you are, a part of this invisible gear will be watching over your next landing. The last piece of this puzzle is understanding that you are not just buying a flight, but renting a piece of an empire that never sleeps and that monitors every takeoff every 6 seconds. Monitoring every landing every 6 seconds requires an almost superhuman perfection that few industries can replicate. But what if I told you that the largest structure on Earth faces even more bizarre and dangerous technical challenges? Explore the secrets and critical flaws of the world's largest agricultural machine in the video below.